Hi, my name is Mitch Stephen, and as you know, my goal in life after I made enough money and didn't need to focus on money anymore, my goal became to help other people achieve financial freedom. And the reason why that's so important is because once a person doesn't have to have a job, they have just enough coming in so that they don't have to have that job, then that frees up 2,600 hours a year for that person to become who they're supposed to become on this planet. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to build a reliable income on Amazon. And I'm going to be talking to Sieg, who's an expert at this. Now, what's important about this interview for you to know is it's not necessarily real estate related. In fact, it isn't real estate related. But if I was looking at how to become financially independent as if I was starting all over again, there are some other things I might consider besides real estate investing. And one of those things would be to do online marketing and to be like an Amazon reseller. She's a pro at this, and maybe you've tried real estate investing and it hasn't worked out for you, or it's not your calling. I don't care what you do to find your financial independence. I just want you to find it. And I thought her conversation and the interview I had with Sieg was so interesting and so inspiring that I thought I might want to show it to a lot of people, because maybe this is where you belong. So check it out. This is an interview I did with Sieg, and I'll be right back at the end of this episode to give you something very special. And where are you sitting physically? Where do you do business? Tell us where you're at first off.
Okay, I reside in Bella Vista, Arkansas. I moved from Minnesota, which was my home state. And we had actually lived in Arkansas previously, but moved back. Now we're back again. And so we are about 9 miles from downtown Bentonville, the home of Walmart.
Tell us a little bit about your history. Where you're from, how'd you grow up, and what gave you the nerve to get into online anything?
Okay, well, born and raised in Eagan, Minnesota. My dad was is a physicist. He's turning 91 and he's still busy inventing. He's trying to bring a product to market, etc. So 91 years of age. And then my mother is a teacher. So my dad was a professor for some time at University of St. Thomas. So I was raised by educators, and I had this kind of conveniently, I grabbed this right before the call. I started my entrepreneurialism when I was very young. I learned how to make hand knitted bells from my grandma. And so I made these, and there are 3 different colors. And my mom said, Ann, you could go out in the neighborhood and sell those. So she set me up with my store, and it was a white paper box. And it had, she showed me the dollars and the 50 cents and how to change the money. So I was around 7 years old, and these were back in the good old days when kids went off without their parents helicoptering around them all the time. And the coolest thing is when I went out into the neighborhood to sell these bells, is I literally sold all my bells, my first time out. So I'll never forget, literally I can feel it in my hands when I was walking home. I grew up in the suburbs at that time. It made a rustling sound in the box. And that rustling sound was commerce. I was a merchant. As a wee child, and not like that catapulted me right from then, but I will never forget it.
Sound of money. The sound of money.
It was the sound of money is exactly what it was. So it's been quite a path. My husband and I have had a number of businesses. The first one was Dino Kid Growing Chart. He drew this because our youngest he loved dinosaurs. So what do you know? My husband pulls together this beautiful drawing. We actually still have some of them, and sold those through science museums throughout the country. Most prominently, of course, in our hometown of St. Paul, Minnesota. From there, we had a windshield replacement business for 12 years, which my husband really loved because he's a hands-on guy. He had gotten trained up in bookkeeping and whatnot, had a cubicle job and absolutely detested working in a cubicle. So he quit that even after I kind of helped him go through schooling and whatnot. It was like, it wasn't for him. That's okay. That happens in life. And the number one skill we can have in the 21st century is the ability to adapt or die, is what I like to say. But nonetheless, so we had that for 12 years. I also homeschooled my kids for 12 years and was extremely entrepreneurial focused. It's really Robert Kiyosaki's books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, that really sparked more of my entrepreneurialism, even though we already had it. We're just like, breathe it, my husband and I. But I started to see it through a different lens because of cash flow quadrant, going from the E to the S into the B, true B. It was
Makes you think, right? Makes you think.
Makes you think.
What am I doing? Because if you don't understand like the E quadrant, then you end up as an entrepreneur just getting a glorified job that's even worse than a job, because if it ever fails, your name's on the bottom line.
That's right. Yep, you're just a glorified S, as he calls, pretty much a solopreneur. You just bought a job. So we had the windshield business, and then a law in the state of Minnesota rolled out. It was an advertising law, and it pretty much wiped out all the small mom and pop business owners. And that had to do with advertising. So that's what I learned is things rarely stay stable, okay? They just don't, especially online, they don't. But anyways, all to say, we had that, and that was really, really fantastic business while we had it. The real catalyst that brought me into the online space is, so while my son, no one was taking him seriously about hey, here's a business opportunity, he started to study online marketing. He studied affiliate marketing and copywriting, and he became the top affiliate by age, it was either 20 or 21 for Best Western, Walmart, Get Response. So he was a top affiliate, and it served him really well, because one time he wiped out on a motorcycle going 95 miles an hour in a crotch rocket, and he had no worries about missing his job because he was making all his money online at age 21.
I hope you are enjoying this interview that I did with Ann Sieg, and I want you to take a pause for a moment, check out the like button, the share button. If you like what we're doing here, please mash on those two buttons a little bit for us. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe right now. There's no better time. Okay, let's go back to my interview with Ann Sieg.
So this was then the catalyst that then I started to study that independently. And then we aligned forces, and it was in 2005.
How much was going out to generate 90,000 gross?
Yeah. So I don't remember those numbers so much as that was someone else's program. And then my son said, Mom, if we sell our own, our profit will be a whole lot bigger. So every evolution we made was just solving a problem to better enhance our profits. So with that, I do recall when we used Google AdWords, we had about a $10 to $15 profit off a $67 ebook. Well, it becomes literally a pure money machine at that point. You can't pour enough money in, because as long as you're making profit, 15 bucks. So we were doing up to about 100 grand in Google AdWords at that time per month. And so
the formula is, if I spend $10,000 and it nets me this much, then if I want to make 3 times this much, I got to spend $30,000. And so the question is, how much can you put in?
Exactly. Yep. So it's a matter about being judicious and wise and funneling that right back in. Plus, it's about what's called having a back end, an ascension funnel. So when we were brand new, we didn't have much of an ascension funnel. We used someone else's. Well, we had a free back office training that we gave, but then we referred them on to other services, affiliates, because we didn't have the bandwidth at that time. We weren't at that level. But I sure have learned back-end sales. I've been doing it for 15 years. This is how long I've been doing online marketing, but then shifting into e-commerce the fall of 2013. And what I saw with my students, and their results were like immediate. So the reason I shared about the traffic and the cost of that is, when you tap into a ready-made funnel like Amazon, they do all the advertising, they have the customer base. There's that learning curve is removed now. And it's big to learn how to do traffic and convert and get the right offer in front of the right audience, etc. Well, Amazon has that audience with credit card on file, prime buyers, 120 million strong. And now there's just one piece left to that equation. As a third-party seller, what product do I sell? That's all that's your challenge then. And that's what we teach now through our platform is called.
And so there's lots of products to sell, but you're better off if you can find like your own product. I'm very interested in this because I don't know, entrepreneurs see opportunity everywhere they look, and I see opportunity. Now, a lot of this opportunity is I can't stop what I'm doing to go do the little things I see.
Right.
So I see things, but I have 20 1-year-old granddaughter who is right now going to college and working for $11 an hour. And I'm saying, you should be able to make $11 an hour in your sleep online if you'll just put your mind to it and learn a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't have to be an expert at it. You're not even trying to support a household at this point.
Right.
So you're just trying to get enough running money. We should be able to figure this out. And
100%.
I already know the products I want to sell.
Yeah.
And we'll make them. I want you to go to 1000houses.com/free-stuff and get a free copy of my private money webinar. You know, I did a course called Private Money Changes Everything, and it's all about how I talk to and why private people want to lend me their money. The name of that course is Private Money Changes Everything. And believe me, when you start to gain the access to and the confidence of private lenders, your whole world opens up. It is a game changer, and you'll never be the same again, nor will your business. So check it out, 1000houses.com/free-stuff, or click on this link right down here, and it'll be digitally downloaded to you in a split second, and you're going to learn how I raised $26 million in private money from private people who became my private lenders. Check it out. All right, I'm headed off to the next episode. Who's coming with me?